What age did both of you arrive in the U.S., and was it a challenge or a benefit arriving as two newly immigrants?
I came 2 years before Sanjiv, and at that time there was Vietnam War was coming to an end. This is before Watergate. A lot of you wouldn't remember that because you weren't born. And there was a shortage of physicians in this country. We had to go outside India to take the exam to come here because India had banned the exam. And furthermore, even if you passed the exam, you couldn't leave the country with more than $8. Foreign exchange regulations. You're nodding, so you know the story, or you know this time. So we had an uncle in the Navy who was in England at that time. He lent or gave me a gift of $100. So now I had $108, which if you're from India is a very auspicious number. 108 beads in the mala, 108 mantras, all of that. And so I thought we have to do something really auspicious. And I went to Paris and I spent my 108 at the Moulin Rouge. When I arrived here in New York, right, JFK, I had nothing. But in those days, no cell phones, you had to make calls and you had to put money. But somebody told me you can make a collect call. So I made a collect call to this hospital in Plainfield, New Jersey. They were so desperate that they sent a helicopter. There was such a shortage of doctors at that time. So my first experience of the United States is rising over Manhattan in a helicopter, looking at the Manhattan skyline about this time, and just totally being wonderstruck. I said, if this is Manhattan, I want to go to Disneyland. I've heard of Disneyland. So shortly thereafter we arrived, and I was told by the nurse who was in charge of the emergency room, which was going to be my first rotation, that I could take some rest, I should be jet lagged and so on. So I went to the dorm, but 20 minutes later she called me on the phone. She said, Dr. Chopra, we have an expiration. And I had no idea what that word meant. But of course I didn't want to let on, so I said, you bet, I'll be there. So I bounded down the stairs. She showed me to a room where there was a dead person, lots of machines, no people. In India, you see only people and no machines there. So I looked at the patient, I looked at her, I made my first diagnosis. I said, he's dead. She said, I told you. We had an expiration, so now I knew what the word meant. I said, but if he's dead, why do you need a doctor? And she looked at me very sternly, and she said, pronounce him. And so, this was a kind of a bizarre statement for me. Your body, your soul can't leave your body till a medical deity, otherwise known as MD, says, I release you, you're pronounced. Then I realized, like everybody else, our profession, we have our rituals, even in the face of the obvious, listen to the heart, check the pupils. So we had learned English in India, which is a little similar to British English, where the word for a flashlight is a torch. So I said to the nurse, may I have a torch? She now was looking at me very strangely. There was another nurse outside, and she looked at the other nurse. She said, he wants a torch. So the other nurse kind of sizes me up and down. She says, maybe he wants to do a cremation. So, anyway, talk about culture shock. But 6 hours later, I was totally at home in the emergency room.